Hey guys, it's Destiny, and today we will be discussing Fu Xuan and things to know before you pull her, as well as ways to prepare for her release. We will be going over what relics to consider on Fu Xuan, pre-farming materials, and her future value, as well as what she offers for team comps. Without further ado, let's begin with a quick overview of what we know officially about Fu Xuan. For those who are unaware about what Fu Xuan does, she is a character part of the Quantum Element and the Preservation class. Fu Xuan will introduce a different approach of sustain, as she is able to primarily focus on damage mitigation, Fu Xuan taking a percentage of damage dealt to allies onto herself rather than the ally receiving the full hit, and also being able to heal herself from what we've seen when her HP falls below a certain threshold. Fu Xuan's way of sustain is primarily these ways that I've mentioned, rather than shields like our other Preservation class characters. Fu Xuan also has buffing capabilities alongside her sustain, which is the ability to increase the maximum health of all allies through her skill, as well as increase their crit rate, which allows for even more sustainability and also increases the damage output of all your teammates who are able to take advantage of the crit rate and may also be lacking some crit rate due to some unfortunate relics. I know I've had pretty bad relic luck, and I'm sure many of us have, so this is definitely a nice touch to her kit. Her ultimate also increases the healing potential for herself within her skill kit, and also damages all enemies, which can make for a very interesting build suggestion that I will be going over later in the video. But for the sum up, Fu Xuan looks to have an incredibly powerful defensive kit and will definitely be a tough cookie to get through due to her abilities to reduce the damage taken by enemies, her self-healing potential, and so on. Now that we've gone over the basics of Fu Xuan though, let's go over pre-farming for her. When it comes to pre-farming for Fu Xuan, I have a few relic and planar suggestions with what we know about her so far. For her kit revolving around sustainability, I would suggest Guard of Withering Snow to increase her damage reduction further, and make her even harder for enemies to inflict high amounts of damage on her, which can possibly make Fu Xuan into an unstoppable and indestructible buff Fu Xuan. As for another relic suggestion, you can also consider possibly the two-piece of Longevious Disciple for more HP to increase Fu Xuan's sustainability even further, which can allow for a combination of Guard of Withering Snow and Longevious Disciple. One more set I'd recommend is the Thief of Shooting Meteor, possibly for a Break Fu Xuan. I thought of the idea of Break Fu Xuan due to how Entanglement operates, and also how Fu Xuan has an AoE damaging ultimate, which can result in all enemies getting entangled at the same time depending on where their toughness meter gauges are. Of course, with the idea of Break Fu Xuan, you can do the other sets mentioned and then consider Break Substat, or even a Break Rope for the potential of it. Break Silverwolf is a really strong and good option, so Fu Xuan may also be able to benefit from breaking enemies as well, especially with her AoE potential with her ultimate. What I would recommend though when you do pre-farm for relics is save pieces that do have Break, just in case it's quite viable on her once she's here. As for planar sets, I would recommend Broken Keel if you can get effect resistance on her to be able to increase the crit damage of allies with the set as well as crit rate through her skill. I would also recommend the Energy Regeneration Von Weck set so that she'll be able to have more energy regeneration for ultimate usage and also be able to be advanced at the beginning of battle, which can allow you to set up her skill assuming you do not use her technique before battle. Fleet of the Ageless can also be a good option for increasing your team's attack, assuming that she gets to the 120 speed threshold. Overall, there are quite a few possibilities you can attempt with Fu Xuan due to her sustained playstyle, and I would primarily focus on allowing her to sustain the team as much as possible, as well as having her own sustained builds for as well. Regarding light cones, I will be going over options once we see her official light cone so that we can go over what it does in comparison to our other options, as we will likely see more information on her as well, so I will be able to make really good light cone suggestions once we get to that point. Lastly, here are the materials Fu Xuan will need for her Ascensions, as well for traces for level 8 for each, and the enemy you have to fight for the Ascension material is the new quantum drops that we received in update 1.3. Now let's go over Fu Xuan's future value and also what she provides for team comps. Fu Fu Xuan will be able to provide immense value for team comps from what we've seen and know about her so far. Due to enemies beginning to hit harder within modes like Swarm Disaster, enemies like the Ape Boss, and so on, this will require a good amount of sustainability to withstand the damage you receive, which Fu Xuan looks like a really good option so far to play the sustained role on the team. As a result, when it comes to feature value as well, if the modes do get harder within the game, or even enemies do more damage, Fu Xuan will be able to provide sustainability that will be much needed, and she is a great option if you missed out on characters like Locha and do not have Japard on your account either. When it comes to team comp possibilities, Fu Xuan can be a great option for Mono Quantum, which can consist of QQ, Zila, Silverwolf, Fu Xuan, and possibly even Lynx. Fu Xuan can also be a great option for characters who highly benefit from crit rate, which can be quite a lot of characters in our roster, especially our DPSs, but I feel like she can also pair very nicely with Jingyuan and possibly Dan Heng Il, depending on how long her buffs last with her skill kit. Since Jingyuan and Dan Heng Il are multi-hitting DPS characters, they benefit from high crit rate to high crit damage ratio, so that they can do as much damage as possible, and if Fu Xuan's buffs last for a good amount of turns, then she could skill and then be SP positive from that point on, which many DPS characters can take advantage of, especially the ones that do want to use a good amount of skill points, which can definitely be Dan Heng Il. Jingyuan will like to use this skill as well to stack up the Lightning Lord, and so on. Using her technique as well before entering battle can also assist with possible skill point usage at the beginning of battle, since her technique will allow her to have the crit rate buff, the max HP buff, as well as the damage mitigation, as her technique triggers the effects of her skill at the beginning of battle, which provides a lot for most, if not all, team comps. I hope you guys did enjoy this video though as to how to prepare for Fu Xuan and what to know about her before she releases. I will be going over her traces and more information we get on her once revealed, as well as her light cone, and I will be going over whether or not her light cone will honestly be worth the investment, or if there's possibly other options that do exist, such as our 4-star light cones, our free-to-play 5-star light cone, but we will have to see fully what she skills off of and what her signature light cone provides to do this comparison. Let me know though in the comments down below if you guys are excited for Fu Xuan and plan to pull for her, as I know personally I definitely am. Or if you plan to pull for someone else, let me know that as well. For my personal thoughts on Fu Xuan, I have really high hopes for this character. I feel like she will be really good for future proofing, as I've mentioned a bit earlier, because of what she provides. Assuming enemies get harder or the game in general just gets a little bit harder, we get these new modes. I feel like sustainability will always be a nice thing to have, and Fu Xuan can also be a really good option for people to pull for, especially if they are free to play and are lacking sustain in order to beat some of the content that we are currently facing. That'll be all though from me. I hope all of you have an awesome day. Peace.